you'll be afraid. You'll be afraid to take the trades because you've talked a good game. You've talked outwardly in the presence of others. But when it comes time to push the button, when it comes time to manage that risk, to manage your emotions, to navigate the psychological storm, that real money, real trading on the hard right edge of the chart brings with it. So it's the quiet ones. It's the quiet ones that do all their talking in their journals, where no one else has seen that they cheerlead themselves. They don't beat their chest. They don't brag. They don't do any of those types of things. They just quietly encourage themselves in the solitude of their journal, where it needs to stay. When we look at this industry, there's a verse. There's treasure to be desired and oil in dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spends it up. What does that mean? Well, I'll apply it to trading. Okay, it could be used in a myriad of things, but I'm going to apply that saying to what we do as traders, how we go into the world of speculation for profit, and how we many times lose sight of what it is that we're trying to do. For me, it was trying to retire early. I was wanting to retire at 40. And things change over the course of my career and how I came up, just like it's going to change for you. But it's important for you to identify what is a low-hanging fruit objective for you. Now, I'm not saying sell yourself short in terms of your life, what would be viewed as successful or not successful. But unfortunately, social media, Instagram, YouTube, the influencers' effect on individuals. And I would have been very easily wrapped up in all this stuff too. If I could go back in time and think about how I felt, this insatiable need to feel like I was worth something beyond the normal. I wanted to be outside the range of like everybody else. Not because I wanted to be better than everybody else, but because I wanted to feel significant, because I didn't grow up with parents that had any love towards me. So I got my love and nurturing from my grandparents. So I had a chip on my shoulder. So I was using the market as a way of proving myself worth to me and everyone else around me. That was the wrong approach to going into trading. I wanted to win back my ex-wife. I wanted to do things to have other people look at me and want to be me. I wanted to be that person. And if we had social media back in my time, if it happened to be like it is today, where we have Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all these things that are available to distract us and fill our minds up with foolishness and self-worship and idol worship of other people. That's why I don't like it when you guys call me things like a king or a goat and stuff like that. I don't like that. But I would have been wrapped up in that stuff in 1992 when I first started, if it was available. And I would have fallen victim to it. And who knows what kind of egomaniac I really would have been. But the idea of knowing why you're going into this, what's the purpose? What's the reason why you're doing it? It's for the embetterment of yourself, yes, but there has to be something beyond that. Okay, when you lay up treasure for yourself here in this world, you're thinking, well, I want to have a nice life. I want to live a nice, successful life where I can do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. And I kind of promote that mindset. I want everyone to have that, yes. But there's got to be something more to it than that. And for me, when I started doing things for people outside of myself, and the things that brought a greater sense of respect for risk, the idea of taking on new risks was a little bit more challenging when I became a father. Because prior to that, I was a cowboy. It was nothing for me to go in there and risk 50% of my account on trades that I had no business being in, when I didn't even know how to trade. But when I had my son, Cody, putting aside all the drama that came with how I became a father, that changed a lot of things for me. It changed the way I viewed risk. I looked at things differently. And I thought to myself, when I take on risk, when I try to do something to increase myself, am I exposing him to more risk? Am I incurring more risk or potential of losing whatever I've gained in hopes of becoming better in the view of other people outside myself or him? So becoming a father for me helped me mature in a way that I would have not probably been successful at had I not become a father. So in short and in more specific terms, when I look at taking on risk and I placed my son in the middle of the conversation, will this next transaction make it easier for me to be a father for him? Or will it be harder for me to be a father to him? And for some of you that don't have children, what that means is if I lose money, it doesn't take food from his mouth. It doesn't keep him in a position of being unclothed. It doesn't mean that we're unsheltered. It just means that now my time, my energy, my focus away from the charts will not be able to be on him, because I will be in regret. I will be in sorrow. I will be remorseful for the things I've taken on in terms of risk. So it dilutes my attention as a father. Now I'm applying it to this real experience I had for myself. For those of you that are listening that don't have children, you don't have anything that is dependent on you. It's just you. You're a young person, and you're living a life that's free of all that. In many ways, I envy that, because there's a lot of emotional turmoil that come with managing children, even adult children that don't want to listen. And you have to find that reason to not just, I'm willing to take the risk because if I lose, I'm still young enough I can make it back. That's how everybody starts in this industry. You can come in with all the greatest intentions of following, risk no more than this much and don't overtrade. That's all fine and great until you start pressing the real button. Not a demo, not a funded account challenge, where the money can actually come out of your own hands. When that money comes in and out of your account, the weight behind that is not something that could be easily explained away. It has to be felt, it has to be experienced. And the worst thing that can happen is you get lucky in the beginning, because you think you're laying up treasure for yourself, and it becomes so easy to think that it's always going to be easy for you. I'm just going to keep stacking up my emerald bricks of dollar bill, y'all. Pick out my next thing I want to spend money on. Pick out my next destination I want to go travel to and experience and put on my Instagram. Laying up treasures for yourself, after a while, and it's very, very short-lived, nobody cares. At some point, no matter how profitable you are, at some point you're going to reach that level where, yeah, I make money. Yeah, I'm doing well, but how many cars can I buy? And how many new things do I have to buy to keep people interested in me? And then you discover what I discovered in my 20s, that nobody really cares. They don't really care about you when you do that. They're living vicariously through your decisions and what you show. And they think to themselves, because they're spending time chasing and pursuing you because you're doing that, their concern is not about you. The concern that they had about me on America Online was not generally about me. But I wanted to believe it was. And the people that do this, they want to be looked up to. They want to be worshipped. They want to be idolized. Those things carry you only so far. And at some point, no matter how good you are, it stops satisfying. And when it stops satisfying you and you no longer get that, well, return on your investment, and you start seeing the diminishing returns. No matter what you do, and no matter what you try to do over the top, spending money, showing this and showing that, it won't bring you any satisfaction. It won't really entice any of your followers or people that look up to you, and you'll become bored in their eyes, or boring rather, and you will become bored by what it is that you're doing. And the long and short of it is that's all the wrong things. You're laying up treasures for yourself here. But when you have this pursuit of laying up treasures for yourself, that is such a short-lived journey of success. Because at some point, there's just simply nothing else to do. And that's an unfortunate state of mind to be in, because I found myself that way in my 20s. And while it's easy for me to go out there and show that I have lots of money and I can earn lots of money and I can create new business ventures and partnerships and do all kinds of things, open up new mentorships, and I'm not doing it. I told you I wasn't. My pursuits, my why I'm doing anything going forward is for the treasures I'm laying up for my family. I want to create memories for them. I want to create memories for myself. And I've robbed myself of that. And it's easy to get caught up in the success. I have lots of students that are making lots of money now, and they're finding success in what they're doing, and they feel good about themselves. And I'm so thankful that they've had that experience. But I don't want you to think that that's all there is to it. Because at some point, if you don't have a child now, you might become a parent later on. And then all of a sudden, you're going to have a greater sense of respect for risk. Because if you found yourself in a position of prominence or affluence, and then you have a child, now all of a sudden, because you are equipping them with a lifestyle that would be above the average lifestyle, you don't want to risk losing it. You want to make sure that they are able to be kept well, provided for. And I found that was the case for me. I didn't want to do anything to upset the apple cart. I wanted to make sure that, when they were raised by me, that I wouldn't be in a position of lack like I was when I was younger. I know what it felt like to be sleeping in a car with a 1-year-old or less than a 1-year-old. I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like to have no roof over your head, no money in the bank. I know what it feels like to have a seized bank account and having to file bankruptcy. I've done all those things before. I've done that. I've lived all that before. And when you have children, or for some of you that are listening, when you have a why that it's outside yourself, you do things for other people. They may not be directly related to you. They may not be your offspring. It may be that you want to sponsor the less fortunate. That's an admirable thing. It should not be broadcasted. It should not be out there say, I support this, I support that person, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, because that's your reward then. But you have to have some kind of sense of reason, some purpose beyond and outside yourself to do this, because if you don't, you will take blind risk. You'll do things when you're bored.